Right now, your phone is calling you. You don't know why. You don't even need it, but you're going to check it anyway. Welcome to the most successful behavioral experiment ever run on humans. The average adult checks their phone close to 90 times a day. That's once every 10 waking minutes. And if you're between 18 and 24, surveys put the number at roughly double that. You didn't choose this habit. It was carefully engineered into you by the smartest minds in Silicon Valley, by hijacking your brain's reward system. Today, we're exposing exactly how it happened. Have you ever picked up your phone, unlocked it, stared at the screen, and put it down with no idea why you opened it? Or felt your phone vibrate in your pocket only to realize it was never there? Maybe you've checked your screen time and felt a quiet horror watching the number climb week after week. These aren't bad habits. They aren't a willpower problem. They're symptoms of a brain that has been hijacked on purpose in ways most people will never realize. Let's start with the chemical at the center of it all. The first lie you've been told is that dopamine is the pleasure chemical. It isn't. Neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz showed back in the 1990s that once a reward becomes predictable, dopamine stops firing strongest at the reward itself. It fires at the cue that predicts it. The promise, not the payoff, is what lights up the brain. His monkeys were trained to expect juice after a light flashed. Once they learned the pattern, the dopamine spike shifted. It stopped happening when the juice arrived and started happening the moment the light turned on. Their brains were no longer responding to the reward. They were responding to the cue that predicted it. Read that again. Dopamine is the chemistry of wanting, not the chemistry of having. It's the engine that drives you to seek. And every time your phone buzzes, your brain treats it like that flashing light. Here's where it gets darker. In the 1950s, behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner ran experiments with pigeons and rats pressing levers for food. When he gave the food on a predictable schedule, the animals worked at a steady, calm pace. But when he made the rewards unpredictable, something extraordinary happened. The animals couldn't stop pressing the lever. Skinner called it a variable reward schedule. It's one of the most powerful reinforcement patterns ever documented. The same mechanism casinos use to keep people glued to slot machines for hours. Pull a lever, sometimes nothing, sometimes a jackpot. The unpredictability is what makes it impossible to stop. Now look at your phone. You pull down to refresh your inbox. Sometimes there's nothing. Sometimes there's a message that changes your day. You scroll your feed. Sometimes a meme. Sometimes a moment that hits like a drug. You don't know what you'll get, so you keep pulling the lever. This wasn't an accident. Loren Brichter, the engineer who invented pull to refresh, has publicly agreed with the comparison to a slot machine. Tristan Harris, a former Google design ethicist, has spent years warning that phones are engineered to be as compulsive as possible. And he's seen the design playbook from the inside because he used to help write it. Every red notification dot is a tiny anticipation cue. Every ping, every badge, each one is engineered to trigger craving before you even know what the message says. And once that craving starts, your brain demands you check. This is what former Facebook president Sean Parker described as a social validation feedback loop, exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology. Those are his words, not mine. The people who built these apps knew exactly what they were doing. There's a reason the like button feels heavier than it should. UCLA researchers scanned teenagers' brains while they viewed their own social media, and seeing their photos get more likes activated the same reward circuitry the brain uses to process other rewarding experiences. Justin Rosenstein, the engineer who built the Facebook like button, eventually had his assistant set parental controls on his own phone to keep him off social media. He described the validation it provided as bright dings of pseudo-pleasure that turned out to be hollow. Each like, each heart, each repost is a tiny, unpredictable reward. Sometimes a post explodes. Sometimes it dies in silence. You don't know which in advance, so you keep posting, keep checking, keep refreshing. The lever keeps pressing itself. Have you ever sworn your phone buzzed in your pocket and then realized it was never there at all? It's called phantom vibration syndrome. In one study, researcher Michelle Drouin found roughly 9 in 10 college students said they experience it regularly. One likely explanation is that your brain has built such a strong association around phone checking that it starts misreading other sensations as the cue. Your body invents the buzz because it's expecting one. That's how deeply this habit has been carved into your nervous system. Psychiatrist Anna Lembke, who runs the Stanford Addiction Medicine Clinic, calls the smartphone the modern hypodermic needle. Every notification is a tiny shot of dopamine, and like any drug, your brain adapts to protect itself from the flood. To buffer the constant overstimulation, the brain dials down its own dopamine baseline. The result, Lemke says, is that the more you stimulate yourself, the worse you feel when you're not stimulated. Boredom starts to feel painful. Stillness feels intolerable. So you reach for the phone again, just to feel normal. This is why people now feel anxious in elevators, in lines, at red lights. The little moments of natural pause, the ones that used to be just life, now feel like withdrawal. Your phone created the itch it claims to scratch. So how do you actually break the spell? The first step isn't throwing your phone away, it's understanding the trigger. Researchers at the University of Texas found that even the visible presence of a phone face down on the table can drain your attention and lower your performance. Disable non-human notifications. Move addictive apps off your home screen. Charge your phone outside your bedroom. And most importantly, reclaim boredom. Lemke calls this restoring your dopamine baseline. The discomfort of stillness is real, but it's temporary. On the other side, your attention, your focus, your patience all come back. Your phone isn't evil, but it was designed by people who understood your brain better than you do. The good news is, the same neural pathways that built this habit can be rewritten, one small choice at a time. So the next time you feel that pull, pause. Notice the urge. Then put the phone down. And if you found this useful, subscribe, because next week we're exposing how social media is quietly reshaping the way you think.